Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode 55. My name is Mike Williams. I'm joined by Gareth Evans and Jake Kulkowski. Bloodborne is an amazing game. In this week's podcast, we're going to be talking about everything, really, because it's your questions. You ask us a bunch of questions. Our Patreons ask us questions. We go through them. We carefully pick them at this point because we get so many of them. We get a lot of questions now, don't we? It's tough. It's tough to choose.
Can I just say that you're going to be a crazy old man on a porch on a
what?
In a rocking chair, just saying Bloodborne is an amazing game. That's just going to be you.
I just thought I'd get out of the way now. Do you know what I mean? It's going to happen. So I just thought I'd get that.
Just drop it in.
Strong start. We peaked already.
I don't know. I'm surprised, really. I mean, it was going to happen.
Well, at least we've cleared the air. Do you know what I mean? It's the tension is gone now because everyone was waiting for it. Everyone was waiting for it. So I thought I'd do that like a lightning rod. You know what I mean? So we're going to break the podcast into two halves like we normally do. We got some questions that are loosely about gaming in the industry, and the second half is a little bit more like personal, aimed at us kind of questions. Not like I mean, that sounded like
personal
insults and stuff.
Assassination attempt.
Like, what? Who are you anyway? You know, they're not those kind of questions, but they're more about our own personal opinions and what have you. And then we've got Fact of the Week, which is another belter, and a 30-second throwdown. So let's jump into the questions. Sketchy Connection gets us off this week. Does he?
Nice. That's a new section.
Sketchy Connection.
Sketchy Connection begins the podcast by asking, do you think the current generation of VR peripherals will ever shake the notion of being... What?
Don't know. It just started off quite exciting.
Let him finish the question.
The disappointment after like 6 words. Do you think the current generation of VR peripherals will ever shake the notion of being considered items for enthusiasts? And will the lifespan of this current tech withstand the emergence of other sophisticated tech like the Google Glass and EEG headsets? P.S. Loving the new comedy video, guys. They're hilarious. Ghost fishing was the business. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Okay. We like doing the comedy videos as well. VR peripherals, first of all.
Peripherals. Can they ever shake the notion of just being peripherals? And
yeah, they're not peripherals, are they? They're full on.
Yeah. When at the price of a console and it's an add-on to an existing piece, of course it's only going to be considered for enthusiasts. Yeah. Because, you know, if you're not that enthusiastic about something, why would you spend your console or PC cost again on one piece of kit? Yeah. I mean, so that the price point alone is something that alienates this from becoming casual. So I suppose, will it ever? Well, yeah, if they knock the price way down on VR, maybe it will one day be as, essential as, having a different controller or something like that. I mean, the games aren't exactly like super hardcore, you have to be an elite player to understand it. In fact, they're quite casual experiences, It's something, when you've got a VR headset, you want your family to get involved, you want your friends, people that aren't, used to VR, because it's a new experience. It is a new experience. But I feel like at the moment it's not quite there yet. And that's just because of the cost of the equipment and things like that. And it's hard to get it into people's hands and stock it and stuff like that. Eventually, if it does keep going mainstream, then I don't see why it would stay enthusiast only.
Yeah. Well, anecdotally, I mean, I already know of people who have picked up a PSVR, and PSVR is the one that's going to do it. I think it's going to push it out into more laid back kind of casual gamers that aren't super, following the industry really closely and stuff. And I think it's already making great strides in that sense. They've already said it's been kind of disappointing. I think they said this might be wrong, but I think it's not quite what they were expecting. But it's still a lot of people who've bought a PSVR, and they are aiming it at mainstream. So it's going to be that and anything else that emerges in the next few years that is kind of that price and that kind of capability. And the price of the Oculus is coming down, and the price of the Vive is coming down, and then those two companies are also kind of adapting and coming up with like different versions that are like portable and wireless and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's very clunky it's in its current state, the technology, and I feel like the way that gaming is going recently, it's more like centered around communities and gaming online and with other people. Now, the one barrier for VR is like, how do you get other people involved when you're in this space on your own? Yeah. And I kind of feel like that is one of the main barriers, as well as like the price and accessibility to just the general regular user. Who can afford that? Yeah. Not a lot of people can. Yeah. And I feel like there is that maybe in the market might open for like AR, like altered reality, augmented reality. Thanks, Mike. Where like you can get communities involved in that, right? If you're going out, I always remember the video of like a concept video that we saw of like in a park somewhere, they're doing like the Mario level.
Mm-hmm.
Augmented reality. I feel like that could be really cool because you could get involved in, like Pokemon Go was. Like, you get out in the real world with like some sort of AR thing hooked up to your phone or whatever, and take part in a game out there in the real world. I think that could be a real opportunity for that kind of technology.
Yeah, Pokemon Go was a smash, and then Harry Potter, which is a huge intellectual property.
It's very basic augmented reality, but still augmented
exactly.
reality.
The new Harry Potter game is going to appeal to everyone. It's got mass appeal. Do you know, when it comes to VR, there's one more thing that I think you need to consider when it comes to like enthusiasts versus casual gamers. The majority of casual games, when you think about it, is a third-person games.
Yeah.
And VR is a very first-person experience. I know Call of Duty is the immediate thing you think of when you think of casual gaming, but think about FIFA, GTA, and I know you can play GTA first person, so perhaps that's a good counterpoint, but Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, a lot of games, obviously Mario and stuff like that, a lot of big sellers, if you look at the charts, are all third person. So if you could get a way of integrating VR into already existing and really popular franchises, maybe that would also help speed it along.
Well, if Ubisoft tried to do something with Assassin's Creed, like they already did the tourist mode, history tourism mode. I mean, that shows they're willing to just try things that are a bit different. Now imagine doing that in first person. You don't need to be climbing up buildings and doing flips or whatever and stabbing people and stuff. You just want to walk around in Egypt, right?
Yeah, without climbing the walls, obviously.
You'd feel mad.
Yeah, I'd love that. I think pretty cool.
Exactly.
Some sort of like experiencing an old ancient civilization or something. That'd be really cool.
And it's up to them to start pushing it. I think is if they want to do it and they think there's business in it, they'll start doing it. Sony clearly thinks there's business in it because they've taken it up. Oculus and Vive are like the pioneers in it, in the sense that they are equally as interested in just making the tech good as making money. They want to push things forward as well as make a bit of cash.
There's rumblings that Valve might be working on some hardware in the VR.
They've been working on, like we just did a video on it, didn't we? Yeah. They've been working on hardware for a long time. They said that's why they've been quiet on the games making front, but now they feel like they can work on hardware. You're right there.
Yeah, I was quite tall and I felt uncomfortable because I know that in real life you guys are taller than me, and I felt like I was a little bit too tall.
So you
I tried to do it like without
took a hit. Yeah,
I was trying to do it without. I didn't want to interrupt you.
You can't do it like stealthily, because you kind of squeaked the chair and then you bounced down in quite a comical fashion.
I tried to draw no
Anyone
attention
listening,
to myself.
Jake just adjusted his chair in just the way that just had to be brought up for some reason. I
really didn't want it.
I couldn't let that pass.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you were saying something really great.
Yeah, I think this is like the early part of the podcast as well.
Yeah.
This is the early part of the podcast where we put like the first kind of 10-15 minutes in the title of the podcast. So far, is VR going to stick around? Plus, Jake adjusts chair. Plus
and many more stories.
Plus more.
Yeah.
Right. So let's move on.
That's the title.
Sorry, do I apologise?
No,
to people at home.
It's me.
Don't apologise. You be you, boo.
Thanks, man.
You want to adjust it again? Are you comfortable where you were?
I think I am now. Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Just let us know, dude.
So thanks for the question, anyway.
Let's redirect.
Moving swiftly on.
Tom Carmel asks, with the rise of digital games, do you guys agree that over time developers aren't taking as much care in video game box art? Now, this is really an interesting observation, I think. Like recently with Detroit Become Human box art, box art looking like it was made on Microsoft Word. And what's your guys' favourite video game box art? So, just generally, do we think the video game box art is going to deteriorate because there's literally not going to be any boxes for them to?
Well, I don't know.
Art on?
You always have to promote your game, right? You always have to put nice images out for your game. The box art specifically, obviously, doesn't get as much attention these days as maybe a poster or like an advert on a website or something like that, which is going to make you more money in the long run. So I think that the resources are being diverted elsewhere. It means, bad news if you're a box art enthusiast, I guess.
Yeah.
But there are still plenty of great images for games around.
I think, it's just done differently, isn't it? It's like you'll tweet, they'll tweet just images. I think Horizon Zero Dawn springs to mind of the company. They were just plastering the internet with just images of Aloy, against certain backgrounds and stuff like that. And it was just... it was just great. It was a great little bit of marketing. So I think as far as imagery goes, I don't know. But and also it just moved. It's, instead of being a piece of artwork on a box, it's now a thumbnail on a PlayStation Store or something. They still have to come up with something eye-catching. What do you think, Jake?
I think like on social media, it's mostly like short video content or GIFs.
That's exactly.
That'll sell a game well, a lot. You can show that you can share a video just as easily as you can share a photo, right? As for box art and stuff like that, I mean, it could be slightly skewed because I looked at some art for like the Siberia games, and it was a stage in like the late 90s where nearly every game looked exactly the same. Just how now it's always a man facing it away from the...
Well, I think we've kind of moved away from it a little bit, but that's definitely has been what it is. Because there's literally less, there's more games with women in them for a start, which is awesome. But there's you haven't got a moody man like in all of the COD games because it's Aloy now.
Well, there was lots of PC games that came out as soon as after Tomb Raider came out, right? With loads of women with brunette women with ponytails and braids, looking confused and stuff like that.
Yeah.
On box art, it just goes through trends. It always does. I think physical, in fact, if you're going to sell out a physical copy of the game these days, it needs to look good because most of the time it's just for collectors anyway. Yeah. It's like a vanity thing. It's a visual thing. So I think that it might go the opposite way where box art's going to become really good soon because it's the only way they're going to get people to buy games, art books, box arts and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I think we're just going through a bit of a trend, or maybe you've just seen a couple of bad examples, but I don't necessarily think that they're going to just start being like completely shit or whatever.
Yeah, there'll always be room for physical copy, in the market. Like, I mean, console specifically, because PC physical sales are just through the floor basically. Yeah. But console players will always buy physical. Mm-hmm. So there'll always be room for box art.
And it's still true that they still do make the boxes for the PC games for a lot of them, for the big ones and stuff, and Blizzard and stuff. And if you want a boxed version of that game, it is possible to get one.
Yeah.
It's just very kind of unusual. So I think you guys are right. I think. Yeah, if anything, it might even get better, Jake. Like you were saying, that there's loads of art in video games, right? So why would they not use it in the box art? But I don't know. Maybe Detroit Become Human has got particular. I've not actually seen the Detroit Become Human.
I just loaded it up actually, and I don't necessarily agree.
I mean, that's just a
the viewers at home. I am showing the Detroit Become Human box art.
That's just a still from the game, right? That's the real engine from the game, right? That's not concept art. That is in-game engine.
It's still.
Yeah.
Still. So.
It's not. I guess it's not a stunner, but it's.
No.
It wouldn't immediately make me think.
Maybe this is like a concept. Maybe there's different artwork.
Yeah, that's one thing as well.
Hopefully, if you're not listening to the audio version of this, it'll probably be on the screen now, so you can see. Okay.
There you go. So that's that question. Thank you very much, Tom Carmel. House of Frogs asks. I've been playing a game called Shadow of the Beast on PS4.
The Atari game.
Wow.
I didn't realise it was a remake of a game in 1989 with the same name. Have you ever played a game thinking it was a brand new IP when it wasn't? And will this happen more often as time goes on?
Maybe.
I think that's a very interesting scenario.
I played the original Shadow of the Beast on the Amiga back when it was released, and it was one of my games when I was a kid growing up. Like, what did he say? 98?
89.
89. Right? Yeah, obviously. Yeah. That long ago. Shadow of the Beast, man. I can even remember it to this day. It's a classic.
So, I mean, have you ever guys encountered that before? You've played a new game thinking it was new, but it's not new. I don't think I've. I usually know what I'm getting into before I've.
I remember playing. I thought Curse of Monkey Island was the first one, and then only about 5-6 years ago, I realised there was another one.
Yeah.
And it was Secret Ops first. Yeah. Curse. Yeah. The one like the very cartoony. Like graphics, I thought that was the first one because it's a point-and-click game. I always heard people talking about. I think that's about the closest, really. Stuff like that, Shadow of the Beast, could very well be considered obscure if it's like 1989, and they made the version of it like 2 years ago for the PS4.
Yeah,
they didn't mention like a remake or anything like that. It's pretty poor.
I don't know if it's obscure. If you were a gamer at the time, you'd have heard of Shadow of the Beast. Yeah, it was a big publisher, right? I think it was it Sega or I can't remember. I can't even remember now. I'm just trying to...
You'll check it out. But the PS4 version, I think, is kind of along the same thing. It's like side-scrolling, punch 'em up sort of thing.
Yeah.
Platforms Amiga, Sega Genesis, Commodore 64. So what were you asking? Developers?
Yeah, I mean, but if you were a gamer back in the day, then you would have heard of Shadow of the Beast. Like, it was a huge... But these days, games like that will be... you won't be able to tell the difference between an indie game and if it was just like a game who's been... released from the past, like an old game. But indie games these days do look a lot like what the games used to look like.
Yeah, but then that's why some of them are such genius, because it's all about the mechanics, isn't it? It's like what was it? What were you saying was a 3DS game earlier? FTL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Game Boy Advance game.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, way ahead. Knock it back a couple of gens. Yeah, it's exactly the art style chops and changes. There's another game that I played. I can't remember the name of it, but Another World. It was the sequel to Another World.
Flashback. Isn't it?
I didn't realise it was. It was a game where you had like a dog and it was like your shadow thing chasing you, a young boy. Can't remember what it was called. Something to do with the word shadow. But yeah, again, I found out only recently that was like a spiritual successor to Another World. But it doesn't really happen that often. You guys?
No. I don't think I've ever experienced that. But it's also in gaming, a lot of things have got a number on them. So it's like 2. Yeah. So you know that there's a Dead Space 1. You know what I mean?
I've looked at games in the past and then realised it was a port of a mobile game. I thought, nah. That's more likely than anything.
Yeah, I guess that ports is something where you don't know where it's come from, and a lot of the news as well. It's like this game's been announced for the PC, and oh great, this is coming to the PC, and then they're like, well actually it's just the mobile version that has been ported. That was a recent one, isn't it? Was it Final Fantasy
6? Yeah.
So that kind of thing does happen, but I guess it probably will happen more and more because like the guys were saying, they indie games have got a certain look about them now, and it doesn't matter if a lot of them don't have graphics that look like they're from the late 80s, because that's not what the game's about. The game's about the
people playing like Prey from last year, Ratchet and Clank, the one that's on PlayStation Plus at the moment, Shadow of the Colossus, especially younger players who won't know that that's the original because it's not like Ratchet and Clank remake or remastered. It's just so.
Because they're not even labelled remakes. They're just called Ratchet and Clank, or they're just called
or like Doom. There could be a kid out there who doesn't know that Doom 2016 isn't the first Doom.
Yeah,
what a sorry state to be in.
There we go. House of Frogs. I hope we answered your question there. Thank you very much. So Nilman asks, tutorials have generally been awful for a very long time. What are your picks on good and bad tutorials? And how would you improve them? So what was the worst tutorials you've ever played? Any recent examples? Because I can think of Vermintide, which is very, very recent. That hasn't got a great tutorial. And that is very basic. It's a very nice story setup and a very nice introduction to the world. But there's so much more under the surface of that game that the tutorial just doesn't even give you a whiff of a mention of. So I think that's,
I feel like a tutorial should integrate really well with this beginning of the game, like I'm thinking Horizon Zero Dawn tutorial,
that's what comes to mind.
The whole of
Beautiful.
the intro and you're growing up as Aloy and you're learning as her essentially. You're learning the game as she's learning life.
That's so important.
It seems so good
to your liking of Aloy, isn't it? That's what helps you get kind of connection to it to begin with.
That's the tutorial done right.
Yeah,
whereas a tutorial done wrong is something that's maybe not even connected to the whole game itself. I'm thinking strategy games. I mean, they don't even explain the whole of the mechanics to the games here. Although it's difficult, obviously, in a strategy game to get all that information across without being boring and bland or whatever. But there's better ways to do it.
It's a tooltips, isn't it, that is annoying. It's particularly in strategy, but in things like old school RPGs and stuff where you're just getting text pop-ups all the time, and JRPGs it's really bad as well. What was it, Xenoblade Chronicles, I think, 2 or something like that on the Switch, which is quite a recent game. And then a lot of the complaints about that were, to begin with, it just throwing text boxes at you and saying, this is how this and very specific mechanic stops you playing.
That's very annoying.
So that's kind of not good, and that's the, I guess, laziest, outside of not giving you a tutorial full stop.
Yeah, it is lazy because it comes up and you're in the middle of something and it kills the momentum. Loads of people are tempted to skip it. You skip it and then you don't know what's going on, and it's kind of your fault because you just wanted to. I was only Divinity Original Sin 2's prologue chapter is fucking ace because I've done that about 5 times, right? And it's as much a tutorial as you want it to be. If you know what to do, you don't have to play it like it's a tutorial. It's like Horizon Zero Dawn, I suppose. Like, you don't have to read it, you can skip through it, but it's just part of the story build, and it's so good. Like the whole of Mother's Cradle, I think it's in Horizon, up to the Reckoning thing, what the hell they call that. It's a wicked, really good integration. That and Divinity Original Sin 2 are the best two in my head.
That's a good shout. That was going to actually help me move on to what I was going to say, because Divinity Original Sin 2 in particular is a microcosm of everything that the game is, and it's just like very simple and like the game's mechanics at its most basic. And Divinity Original Sin 2 is all about choice, and there's some nice choices that you can make. There's a lot of experimentation you can do with like physics and environmental effects and stuff, and that game is all about combining logic, like your own thoughts, like how do I get into that room And there's nothing saying, oh, there's a key over there. You've just got to figure it out. You've got to find a way in.
What it does is it puts you on a boat. So like you're getting the full functionality of the game's like features, but without it doesn't like peak too early.
Yeah.
You still then, when you land on Fort Joe, you still have that oh my god moment.
It's a microcosm, isn't it? It's exactly.
You're totally right, but it manages to balance comprehension without giving you everything and then stripping it away. JRPGs do it a lot, where you'll have like a flashback where you are an all-powerful guy, and then it's all stripped away from you. And I hate games like that. Top-heavy games. Need for Speed Underground did it. You start off with your guy as a dream.
Robbery.
Yeah. You start off your guy as a dream, and he's got a Nissan Skyline. The first mission, you're in a Skyline, and then you have this absolute shite car all the way through the game, and you've peaked before you've even started.
What a great game, though. Tutorial aside, Need for Speed Underground, man, Jesus. So then one of the great examples of that recently for me is The Witcher 3. I don't know how people feel about it, but I really like the fact that they let you play out one particular hunt, one particular beast in one area, like White Orchard or whatever it is, and then there's a little open world area there that's like. That you can learn everything you want to learn about the game in there, as far as do I like this or not, and it helps you. It teaches you all the mechanics. Now that is a game that's heavy on tooltips, but it combines that with letting you just roam around and do whatever you want, ride your horse to wherever you want to go, and there's loads of NPCs to talk to, and it just does exactly what Divinity Original Sin 2 does, and just gives you like that restricted little experience to begin with, before opening up a massive open world in front of you, which is a great way of doing it, I think. So thanks a lot, Nilman, for that question there. Jacob Theobald says, I have a slight problem. Oh man, what a segue. I bought The Witcher on launch. I was super excited. I'm assuming he means The Witcher 3.
That's a problem.
Because the promos were so good. And I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I hated it. I know I must be in the wrong, but I just find it so different from what I expected. Can you give me a fresh perspective on the game that will make me enjoy it better? I don't know if you two guys are the best to ask about a fresh perspective on how to enjoy The Witcher 3.
Yeah, The Witcher 3.
Can you help?
No.
Can you sympathise, maybe, to begin with?
Yeah, I feel like it is easy to question yourself if loads of people love a game and you're like, what don't I get? What am I missing? What don't I see about this game? Why everybody else loves it? But that, I think, just boils down to personal preference. That's you as an individual and how you connect to something, be it art or games or any other medium like films or whatever. I mean, these guys have conversations about films in the office, and I'm like, I just don't understand what they're talking about whatsoever. I just don't connect in the same way. And it's the same with Witcher 3. I don't connect in the same way with that game. I don't see what's good about that compared with other games. And that's not me being wrong. That's just my personal preference. So don't second guess yourself. It's just how human beings work. If we all like the same things and wore the same clothes and listened to the same music, we'd all be fucking boring, right? The world would be a boring place. Variety, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, like, you put it on launch. It's 3 years, man. Just let it go. All right.
It's obviously eating at him because it is lauded as one of the best games ever, right? So you've got to question yourself. I mean, I found myself questioning this. We even did a stream. Show me why Witcher 3 is so good, and it was like, I just don't get it. No, let me say this first. I loved The Witcher 3, and it is one of my favorite games in the last 10 years. But I count, if you say this is one of the best games ever, that's like top 10 games of all time. I do not think that is one of the top 10 games of all time. I think I think it, like I said, I think it's actually excellent, and it's very influential. And it is a high watermark for RPGs and stuff, but you're totally right. There is like this kind of, this is one of the best games ever made kind of thing around it, because it's a fucking good game. I can see why people are excited about it. And if anyone says it's their best game of all time, I don't think I'd question them on it, because if you've been playing RPGs before that, and then suddenly you play an RPG where all the side characters and all the side quests have got like great backstories and personalities, and they've got a lot to tell you, not in text, in writing, they're like voice acted really well, and some of them are hilarious, some of them are weird, some of them are awful, and it's just, you know, that was like a new high watermark, I think, and I think that's where it comes from, a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it's managed to balance like because all the stuff that's good about The Witcher 3 has existed in games for decades. Baldur's Gate 2, Pillars of Eternity, Dungeons and Dragons, the pen and paper game, right?
But then you add the playing in third person.
This is the point. This is exactly the point, right? That's like been kept. It's like a secret club for super duper nerds and all that shit, and everything's turn based. The Witcher managed to mix that with action combat, and it's got all this critical appeal, and it's quite a mainstream appeal. And all of a sudden, people who would never in a million years have played Baldur's Gate or Dungeons and Dragons get to feel like they've jumped onto this thing. If the only RPG games they knew were like a little bit more mainstream or watered down, and RPG elements become an RPG game, then, what I'm saying is it's the first time a lot of people have played an RPG with depth of... It's not even a great role-playing game, I don't think, but for role-playing. But it's a great game, and it has this interesting story that you normally only find in an old-school RPG. So, just maybe if you don't like The Witcher 3, and you don't force it, but try another RPG with huge critical acclaim. Have a look at Baldur's Gate 2. Have a look at the original Sin 2. Yeah. You might find you like them more because they're better games. Just kidding. I'm not. But I mean, what I'm saying is there's other games that will scratch the same itch, okay? Witcher isn't the only game to have really in-depth story and all this and all that. So if it's the gameplay you don't like, try another game. If it's the lore-heavy, drenched-in book reading stuff that you don't like, maybe that sort of stuff's not for you. So you're winning either way, mate. Don't worry about it,
I think that it is the fact that it's a third-person action game just is a huge benefit to it. And you're right, there are Baldur's Gate and stuff that have been doing it for a long time, Knights of the Republic and anything like that, really, where there's a lot of people to talk to, a lot of side quests and stuff. But then this gives you that while giving you a very kind of strongly defined protagonist to center it around, which is this guy's story, which you can play as your own thing, which is very, very different to are you an elf, a dwarf, or a human?
An RPG.
Yeah, it's
exactly actual RPG.
It's like it's its own Red Dead Redemption-esque. Like this is this guy's story as well. On top of that, and the combat is accessible. It's not like click to attack. There are multiple things you can do, and it's deceptively deep because it doesn't seem. It seems you can play it on easy
based as well as strategy based.
Yeah, you start raking up the difficulty levels on that game, and it becomes a really hard game. And that's where the depth comes in. You're preparing for different monster battles and stuff because you've got to read up on them and stuff. I think there's a lot to it.
Exactly.
Very basic level, I would say, if you played it on PC on a mouse and keyboard, try it on a gamepad. Yeah,
exactly. It depends what you don't like, though. If he doesn't like the lore, doesn't like listening.
If you don't like the world,
the pacing of the game, then those games might just not be for you.
There's a lot to not like. That's what you're saying.
You could also not like the mechanics, and if that's the case, then there's other games that have the same lore but with different mechanics. So just figure out what that is. Maybe get back to us and we can...
The main things that I didn't connect with was the protagonist, his story, wasn't bothered. The other characters, I wasn't connected with any sort of the story or progression of his story, and the combat was, I don't know, I wasn't rewarded by the
pretty
combat.
Much all of it at that point.
It's not all of it. That's very specific parts of it. And this is the world. The world is pretty. I can appreciate that about it.
Okay.
And there are
also very, very well designed. I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I can hold up The Witcher 3 and say that is a great game for this, and this. I didn't connect with it for certain reasons, specific reasons, but that's just me. And I'm an anomaly according to the reviews and general perception.
And this guy.
Yeah. Maybe we should form a club.
I mean, it doesn't hold your hand when you start playing it at all, and it doesn't. The story is very loose because it's like, this series is missing. You got to find Ciri.
Just go and get this girl.
Just go and kill some monsters and that for now. It's a very kind of weak thrusting because it's a very. It doesn't really.
To coin a phrase,
It doesn't really boot you out of the gate.
The
You know what I mean? It doesn't give you it's not like
thrust.
Mass Effect 2 where your entire crew is lost and it's a very clear motive is established at the beginning. Yeah. It's not like that. It's a very loose and open-ended game, and if you're not into that, then there's a lot of things that you can object to. But just because everyone else is saying it is amazing, that doesn't mean you have to enjoy it, man. That's the moral of the story in it. So thank you very much for the question. Anyway, I hope we answered that for you. So Stay at Home Gaming asks, do you think Valve will make a console?
That's an interesting proposition. Will they make a console?
What's like a Steam box?
They've been trying, haven't they? They've got a Steam Link, which is a streaming thing for your PC if you want to stream to your living room.
Yeah, they have those Steam controllers.
The operating system. They've got...
it's not a Steambox thing.
Yeah, Steambox is like a PC gaming system.
Steam's big picture is the UI, isn't it?
Yeah, the UI.
That's kind of one.
They could come out and do their own console. I think if anybody is going to, to compete. I think Valve are in a good position to do it.
And considering they've been saying we've been working on hardware for the last 5 years, it's not completely unreasonable to think that might happen. I think
it's a good shout if you ask me.
Yeah, I think even if they did, they probably wouldn't they bundle it as a VR thing as well? Wouldn't they be like, this is a VR console, this is the console for VR if you like VR and that.
I swear,
you got PlayStation
they've tried and failed to dominate the living room space over and over again.
Yeah,
a console cleverly bundled will succeed. Steam Link did, it's not like a hot thing.
No,
this controller that they did, the only time I ever knew anyone that had one, actually all 3 people I know all sold them. Steam Link, same thing. I'm the only person I know that has one. Don't really use it. Steam Box,
I had the Link and controller and sold both of them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they could package it in some very clever way, bring the power of your PC to the living room, and they boasted that any PC can become a console game, then they'll do it. But I'm sure they've tried for years and years and years and failed because they've not really tried hard enough, which is Valve all over.
If they brought the entire Steam library over onto this new console.
That would be great.
They could boast we can, it'll
it almost be Monopoly levels then because of the way they dominate PC. Yeah, and they've got a fucking console that is
it's there
huge
for the taking. You'd put all your resources into that if you were fucking Valve, wouldn't you? So card games.
I don't know what Valve would do because they often do not do the thing that I think they should be doing. I think we talked about consoles last week a little bit as to who could possibly come out with a console. Valve is definitely probably a front runner alongside someone like Apple, which, if you ask me, is not really a strong candidate. But Valve, if anyone's going to make it, why wouldn't Valve?
That's the reason. It would be a serious consideration. I'm pretty sure they'd have thought or had some sort of discussion about it. And even if they're not doing it and it's a secret project that they're working on right now, I would not be surprised.
I would also throw you back to the conversation we had last week where we kind of agreed that someone would have to drop out the current console lineup. There's Nintendo, Microsoft and Sony. One of them has to go.
Microsoft, isn't it? Well, by this time next year, they say in there was GamesIndustry.biz article saying that Nintendo will be selling more,
outpacing them,
by outpacing Xbox by this time next year. So that tells you something, didn't it?
I think there's only so much room for consoles, is what I think. So one of them has to go before someone else comes along. I think when has there ever been more than 3? Has there ever been more than 3?
Because you can't. I think what we said last week is that the hardest thing will be carving out an install base. Because it's spread too thinly. Yeah. Steam have already got a huge install base. If you could bring over your library, boom. You know what I mean? So I think for any new starter, one of them would have to go. But I think Steam...
Oh, you think because loads of people have got PCs and Steam?
Yeah.
Because they've got 70 million
I don't think...
It lowers the entry point for a lot of users, right? For someone like me, I don't have to buy loads of new games. I just need the hardware and I can play all my current games.
But here's the question. The Valve console, right, is that a fluid bit of kit that they can change the specs of, or is it just a set of specs like traditionally? Is it just this is what you get, this graphics card?
I think that would be the best way of doing it, because anyone that wants a fluid bit of kit that they can play Steam games on will get a PC.
But that's always what they do. They always go Steam box. They always go halfway. They're like, this is basically a PC, but
they need to just drop it down a bit for the people that are a bit scared of computers, a bit technophobic. Just do one for that, because anyone that's into PCs and gaming and changing things out have got a PC. You can't try and please them both. Just get one box. That's what I think anyway.
Well, that's another good question. Thank you very much, dude. Hybrid Kraut asks, gentlemen, love your work as always. Thanks for all the great content. Thank you. Given how underrepresented women are in the gaming industry in general, from development right to the end product itself, the games we love, what would you propose to developers to address this ongoing alienation of a potentially massive audience? Who are your favourite female protagonists in gaming? So how do we get more women into gaming, and who are your favourite female protagonists? Well, I think mine's Aloy, quite comfortably, but...
That's me too, so that's 2 out of 3.
My favourite villain is actually Kreia from Knights of the Old Republic 2 as well. She's a kind of shadowy Jedi / Sith Lord who, you never know what her motives are. I think I recently talked about her in a Fireside Chat, registered trademark.
Thanks, Mike. I don't know. I'm thinking. I don't really know. I'm thinking about loads of my favourite games.
Yeah.
a lot of them are male protagonists, and it's just a way. You know, I mean, a lot of the time, in fact, a lot of my favorite games are RPGs, and I'll always make Jake, who, you know, I'm a male.
Well, you're super into, like, I mean, What Remains of Edith Finch, is that not?
Yeah, that's really true, and the
Life
thing
is
about those
Strange.
games is that the characters are super, like, player vessels. There's not, like, Edith Finch is just me at that time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, whereas Joel and Ellie, you're feeling like Joel's got these decisions to make and stuff like that. Yeah. In Edith Finch, you know, you are just experiencing this through the body of Edith Finch. Yeah. She doesn't say anything in the game, you know. So a lot of walking simulators, that's the thing. The character is so thin that you basically feel like you are that. Yeah. And so Senua's a great protagonist because it doesn't, and stuff like Lara Croft and all that.
Lara Croft, I don't like. She's right up there with Nathan Drake as just being a posh robbing bastard.
My daddy left me loads of money, so I'm going to spend this money robbing things.
This buried treasure, I'll have that. No,
it's
not yours.
But
what I like about Senua, right, is that she's flawed and she struggles with stuff. Yeah, just kind of like she's normal people do in normal lives, and that's what, like, she's very relatable in that sense.
She's an excellent character all around. The game's all about her as well.
Exactly.
She's not just like a perfect example of this, or she's great at doing that. She's troubled, and she's
and none of that is because she is a woman. It's just like she's a person. You know what I mean? It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter female protagonist. I just the way the games I play, it happens to be male protagonists always take the center stage. There's a lot of great female characters in games. I really like Ellie and. She's not not an annoying kid.
She's spiky, she's a kid of that environment, right? She's a kid from the end of the world.
And The Last of Us takes what could have been the most boring escort mission game and turns it into something awesome because Ellie is awesome. Yeah. She's an awesome character and she's useful and you know what I mean? She's a kid who could be like, help me. It's like when you're playing The Walking Dead. Clem is pretty cool, but she's like, Lee, it's like, fuck her, I've got to go and save her. I don't feel like that with Ellie. I don't feel like she's a burden.
She's complicated,
and she's got a lot going on there, and
the DLC focused on her entirely, which is very significant.
Oh my god, that is wild good DLC as well. Yeah. So you know what? I'll go for Ellie from The Last of Us. I mean, you know what? She's not even a playable character, but she certainly is.
Well, you probably got 20% of the game you play as her,
and she's probably the most important character in the whole thing.
Well,
for one reason or another. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I can say. As for women in the games industry, I'm not an industry insider. I'm not an industry expert. I don't know.
Are we talking how to get more women playing games?
Well, it's everything. Playing games involved. So here's what I think. It's like you've got to start the chain from the making games, right? So you get women making games, and then they're writing them or whatever, and that's happening. There's a lot of games, as far as I'm concerned, that are completely female driven, like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice and Horizon Zero Dawn, which is. She's just an excellent character, right? And that is just it's just as far as a male gamer, because that's all I can speak from. That's the place I can speak from. Yeah. She's just a great character that I really enjoy playing as. That is happening more and more, I think. So as far as attracting kind of women into playing games and stuff, that's, as far as I'm concerned, all it's going to take. Just stop making
Nathan Drake.
Well,
stop making Nathan Drake.
I feel like this question is something that there is no answer, because I feel like if you try and say it, it sounds patronising. What can you do to get girls gaming? I feel like a girl's going to be just as interested in gaming for the same reasons as we are when it comes to games, modern stories. Yeah, there's stupid games where all of female characters are scantily clad, and like what's the name? Cindy, is it, from Final Fantasy 15? And I can imagine that. Yeah. I can imagine the amount of girl gamers or playing that game would have been like, oh my god. Yeah. But it's, as for like the industry and all this, I'm sure if a girl wants to make games, she can. The only thing that would stop her really would be the intimidation of being in a mostly male-led industry. But a lot of girls like that will have fire in their belly to think, fuck it, I'll carve out a niche anyway. They don't have to just be IGN presenters, and I think that's something that's always going to happen. But there are industries around the world where there will be more male and female, or more female and male, and I think that gaming might be like that, or it could just be like the rock star Cliff Bleszinski characters out there, or what you think of when you think of gaming.
Self-described and styled rock stars, but no one else is doing that.
But there's a lot of women working in games, like especially walking simulators that you're saying. you know, the characters there, female characters, are quite empty, like the one from Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, I don't even know her name, and Edith Finch from Edith Finch. But the women who are working on the game, Jessica Curry did the soundtrack, fantastic. But I don't know, I think that there's nothing that needs to be done. That's what I'm saying.
It is about like perspectives and stuff as well, though. And if you are a woman and you're concerned about the lack of like, or you feel like there's not enough games for you, I can't imagine how annoying that must be. If you really like playing games, and all of those games are from a completely alien perspective to you, or from a perspective that you just can't relate to, and they're like you said, from like you feel like Final Fantasy 15, if you wanted to play that, then there's just like characters like Cindy and whatever all over the place. I can see how it would be annoying. So yeah, just keep like hopefully making more games, which is like, as I said earlier, is happening. And I'm personally happy about it, because I've in the last year I've had like Horizon Zero Dawn and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which are two of my favourite games for a long time. I really love both of those games. So.
I keep thinking like, well, most of my characters are male, and I think a lot of it's because there is a character creation option. I just make a male because I'm a male. So I'm thinking about lots of good games like Divinity: Original Sin. You could be a woman. Bloodborne, you can be a woman. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm sure there's a lot more of that. But yeah, Final Fantasy 15. The 5 bros or the 4 bros.
It's like boy band simulator, isn't it? But that is especially male perspective, because I started that game off and I really didn't like any of those characters. They were really doing my head in, and by the end, I was like, I really like these guys. They're like, we've gone through some shit, and I was like, but it was properly like bro-ish kind of. One of them's bare-chested, I think, like for a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
And it's
the homoerotica in that game is off the charts. Gladiolis is some hench guy wearing an open leather jacket.
That's it.
Like,
bro. Yeah, but then that's you know, but that is undeniably like a really kind of male perspective there. But it's and I really like that game for that reason. You know, there was stuff in there that I guess was...
And I'm sure there's loads of female games that I don't care that they're playing a male, just the same as... I mean, remember when Horizon came out and there was people, I don't want to play this game because I'm playing as a woman.
I can't possibly identify with this.
Yeah, it's like 11-year-olds on our comments and our videos. Exactly. That's not representative of any sort of...
So that's what I mean. So I'm saying, even if there are games led by male protagonists, if you're a female gamer playing it, I'm sure you're not arsed. Yeah. You know, there will be people that probably arsed and feel underrepresented, but most people probably don't care. I don't know.
Thank you for that hybrid crowd. I guess, you know, it's a big topic, isn't it? But on a personal level, I guess just keep playing games, innit? Keep playing games, keep enjoying games, and make games if you've got that kind of fire that you really kind of want to do something about.
Doesn't matter what gender you are to do that.
Of course, yeah. So thanks for that question anyway. Daniel Stansom says, hey guys, great show. Are there any games that have mini games you find as good or even better than the main game? So games with mini games that are better.
Speak about this in the office yesterday.
Mini games, yeah.
The poker from Red Dead Redemption.
Card games.
Tetramaster,
yeah. Otherwise, wasn't it?
Tetramaster in Final Fantasy 9 is good.
That is good, yeah. But Final Fantasy 9.
Tetramaster, yeah, that's the best one. Triple Triad from Final Fantasy 8.
Yeah, but it's better than the main game.
Better than the main game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't stick around with bad games long enough to find the good mini games.
You do like a good mini game, though. You mentioned like the knife thing in Red Dead Redemption and that. You like a good bit of some card games and that.
The Liar's Dice in Red Dead Redemption was cool. Yeah, was really cool. Kingdom Come Deliverance has got
just a dice
game, which is really good. And the only problem with that is you don't get enough people to play against. I would love to gamble the fuck out of that game for a long time. You know, you can sword fight for as long as you want. You can do bow and arrow as long as you want. There's just not enough opponents to play.
You're never short on people that want to batter you, but you know,
can't gamble.
Why can't you gamble?
Just want to roll some dice, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just roll some dice and take some money off some
a mini game better than the main game.
You know, I can't think of many.
Yeah, that's probably bad game design. If your mini game is better than your full game, if you've made like a little time passy game.
I know one. I know. Gwent, innit?
I mean,
it's a good game.
It's got a big following.
Better than the main game.
Controversial.
Mine is going to be Call of Duty World at War, if you consider zombies to be a mini game.
Is it?
It was just a little distraction. It was just a little building. It was a little co-op, like.
Wasn't it one in Black Ops as well? When you got out of the Black Ops. When you get out of the little chair thing, you can go to the arcade and there's that top-down shooter. That was really good.
Yeah, that was behind the chair, right in the main menu.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah. You could play a game, whether it was better or not. Who's to say?
Yeah. So let's move on now to fact of the week. If we could have the jingle, please. Here comes fact of the week. It is only humanly possible to press a button on a video game controller 16 times per second. This record was set by Totsuyuki Takahashi, a Japanese gamer. Right, so 30-second throwdown then. This is my turn, I guess. I'm pretty annoyed about this. It's called No Turning Back. Here we go. Warhammer Vermintide 2. You play as a team of 4. There's this one bit when we were playing, we were just running across the edge of a cliff, like a scene from the Fellowship of the Ring. It was awesome, just a fantasy party. Now, everyone drops down a 4-foot step. I'm literally touching distance behind them. But I get caught by an enemy and basically getting murdered by said enemy. And my team can't get back to me because of this small 4-foot drop, which they couldn't get back up. The point of no return in Warhammer Vermintide 2. What's too many of that? It's just too much of it.
Yeah, I tried to help, but I'm a dwarf. I couldn't jump up.
Exactly. It's a 4-foot. Why? Just put a little
It's
step
the low
there.
point of the week.
It was the worst thing that's happened to me in the last week, yeah.
Let Liam jump on my head or something.
Wow.
I felt so powerless.
You are living a blessed life if that's the worst thing to happen.
That was the joke.
Brilliant.
All right, let's move on to part 2. Okay, so welcome back to part 2. Hey, Liam.
Hey, you alright?
Gareth McKelvey asks, if you were a shape, what shape would you be?
I think solely based on Annihilation that we all watched this week.
Oh yeah,
a prism is the best shape.
Mm-hmm.
Top that.
Is that?
I mean, we did talk about it in the office, didn't we? And I said I'd be that cosmic void at the end of True Detective season 1.
Yeah,
that is a great shape.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
a formless
the
void.
one Matthew McConaughey hallucinates.
Yeah.
I'll be that.
I'm going to go a little bit and dial back from those two answers, but still extravagant in its own way. I'm a dodecahedron. 12 sides, mate.
Exotic.
The 12 Sides of Mike Williams.
So that's my
number
detective
one bestseller
miniseries, which
Amazon.
is on the way.
.ca.
Ben Sharp asks, playing through Kingdom Come at the minute, and there's bugs everywhere, even quest-breaking bugs.
I hear you, boy.
Don't know if I can stick through it. What are your tolerances for bugs? How bad do they have to be to stick through the game? So, what's the kind of buggiest games you ever played through? Because
I mean, I platinumed Deadly Premonition, so I must have a very high tolerance for bugs.
Yeah.
Especially seeing there was a bug in that game where if you saved during a certain mission, it would corrupt your save file. And there was another bug which, if you didn't save after certain quests, it would remove key items from your inventory.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I mean, all that.
It's like Russian roulette.
Yeah.
But I managed to platinum that game, so clearly I'd say I have a high tolerance for bugs.
Gives the game a certain edge when you got that kind of threat, danger hanging over you.
I mean, Fallout New Vegas as well. That was I enjoyed that, even despite it was a horrific mess of a game at launch.
Bethesda games generally, I think we can agree.
I disagree with them being a problem, but I agree that they're buggy.
They're buggy.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I love that fresh Bethesda feeling of getting a game, thinking this time I shoot a man, is he going to just start wobbling and fly into space?
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Is he going to clip through the
It's
floor?
well funny. You know, like when your guard goes, halt, stop right there, and he's just ahead because the rest of his body's fell through the map.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. That's a funny bug. Kingdom Come bugs are fucking annoying. In fact, I'm going to say this, and I can say it with confidence now because I've been mellowing out on this for about 10 days.
Right.
The most bug-riddled game I've ever played and the most annoying game I've played bug-wise. It's fucking well annoying.
Right.
Like to the point where hotkeys aren't working anymore. Like it's like right on the D-pad, even though it says left on the D-pad on the tutorial. To get your sword out, you can't put your sword away. It says press left to get your torch out. You can't. You've got to go to the menu and do it all manually. So many problems. Really annoying. I thought my tolerance was like the highest it could ever be, where I actually find bugs amusing and funny until this game. This just single-handedly ruins it for me because I had a completely lovely existence where bugs were a mere joke to me. But Kingdom Come Deliverance, that's not how it was back then. Don't like it.
There's bugs everywhere, mate, back then. I don't know what you'll...
Yeah, but...
That's what the books say, mate.
Yeah, I thought...
It's in the books.
I mean, come on, man. I'm definitely not like I make a bug by loading a game up, breaking the game myself, giving the game 1 out of 10, deleting my video about the game being a 1 out of 10, and then uploading the video saying it was a 7 out of 10, like what Jim Sterling did with Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I'm not like that toddlerish, but Kingdom Come Deliverance, I could not recommend it to anybody now because it's too bug-riddled. It's the only time I'll ever do it.
I know what you're saying.
That's my answer.
I know what you're saying. Is a bug ever broken you, Liam? Have you ever, seen as you've beaten Deadly Premonition with a platinum in hand.
Bug-proof boy.
Yeah. Have you ever thought, no, mate, I'm out?
There definitely was one. I think it was a PS1 game where literally the controls just stopped working.
Yeah, well, that at that point you're kind of forced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was like it was one of those games where it didn't even have a save system. You had to use passwords. I think it was some sort of platformer.
Lovely.
And yeah, it's just I couldn't be bothered, so I just stopped playing it altogether because I couldn't remember the password.
That's pretty hardcore though. That's like looking for bugs at that point. That's bug hunting, is what that is. That's like what's the most janky buggy game I can find? I'll look at the PS1 catalogue without a save system.
Yeah.
Games without save systems.
Yeah, but so yeah, I can't remember what it was. It was like some Mickey Mouse platform or something like that.
Was it
Castle of Illusion?
It wasn't Castle of Illusion, although I did play that on PC and that had a lot of bugs where it literally wouldn't even run.
Yeah.
So it literally was Mickey Mouse, not like the way that people say, oh, this is just some Mickey Mouse bloody...
No.
Maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah.
That's the etymology.
Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
on PS1.
Yeah, all right. So the Mickey Mouse platformer, the unidentified platformer.
Other than that, I'd say I'm pretty tolerant to bugs in
games.
games.
Well, it sounds like if after all the Russian roulette that you went through with Deadly Premonition.
Worth it though.
Bugs, it's all right when it's funny, isn't it? It's like it can be like immersion breaking and stuff, but when it literally stops you doing things, and like when you want to save the game, when you want to click on a menu screen, when you want to open a menu screen, it is really annoying. It always obviously happens closer to launch and multiplayer games, especially. Like it's just things can go wrong, and maybe it's not even a bug really. You'd call it a bug. It's maybe a connection thing or something like that just can just really get on your head. Yeah, I don't know, but that's pretty surprising with Kingdom Come though, because this exactly what Ben Sharp's saying here, that he there's bugs everywhere. He's wanting to ask a question about it because that's how annoying it is to him.
It's honestly, I'd never ever dream about talking about the bugs of the game normally, because I just I hate when people are moaning about
I'm the same, yeah.
But this time it's like you had like the 30th richest man in the world back in your game, and you fuck off. I don't know why I didn't do the 30-second throwdown on it this week, to be honest.
You can take it next week.
There's some hard feelings, it looks like.
It's because it's like I just want to fucking love you. Why are you making it so hard for me, you buggy bastard?
Victor asks, have you guys ever played a game that you can remember in which made you feel empty on the inside after completing?
Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Next one.
For me, most recently was The Witcher 3, as I didn't want to leave the wonderful world and characters CD Projekt Red had created. Well, that's lovely.
That's nice. That is nice.
I feel empty after Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which I think was the point. I think Final Fantasy 15, to bring up another game that we mentioned earlier. I was like, man, that was like there's I don't want to go into spoilers, but it takes you to some places that does some things with the story, and you're like, God. Yeah,
God damn.
Hot dog. It's pretty heavy. What about you guys?
I mean, Nier Automata, because when you get the final end, that's kind of the point. But it's like there's such finality to the end of that game.
Oh my God!
Quite literally, it doesn't want you to ever go back to it, and it leaves you feeling like satisfied, but emotionally distraught at the same time.
That's what I like in it. That's what I like in anything. That's what I like to feel like.
From my endings, I want ambiguity and to feel empty afterwards. That's
I mean, strong combination. I don't know. I like that feeling. That you get where you're like, okay, now delete you from my hard drive.
Yeah,
that's the purge. Like Night in the Woods did that. What remains of Edith Finch was like, sometimes it's like you need a cup of tea before you go and do it. It's like, I need a hot beverage and then I'll get rid of it. What Remains of Edith Finch, Night in the Woods. And I'll tell you something else that gave me that nice hollowness. When I did the DLC on Bloodborne, I was like, okay, go away for now. But then I came crawling back. Not any more than 4 months after.
I think Bloodborne is definitely up there for me for an empty feeling afterwards because I love it so much. And then did I mention that? And I platinumed it. First game I've ever gone, I am going to get a platinum on this. And I like really, I know it was like my second or third playthrough really, right to the end. And I'd properly spent a lot of time doing it and I absolutely loved every second. So when it was over, I was like, right, I've got the platinum now.
What now?
Do I go again? I had that kind of feeling straight away, But yeah, Nier Automata, I think you're absolutely right, Liam. That's like, for a game that really tries to make you feel empty, it fucking succeeds as well.
It does a fantastic job.
Yeah, not only for the basic fact that, I mean, this doesn't spoil, everyone knows this by now, but for the basic fact that when you beat the game, you can't go for a cup of tea and delete the game. You've got to play it for another 40 hours. It's like...
Yep.
It's
the first playthrough was just the beginning, really.
Yeah, it's
like the prologue chapter.
Exactly. You've seen the story from a certain perspective. That's all you've seen after playing the game for the first time. So it's really pretty special. But yeah, games can often do it because you spend so long with them generally, don't you? Like, it's like 10 hours minimum for a AAA game. It's a good one. Yeah. So yeah, that's
sad.
It is sad, but yeah, I'm glad that you really enjoyed Witcher 3 so much, man. Maybe you should have a word with
the other guy. Let's give him his name.
This is good. This is
Jacob.
good radio. This is good radio.
House Frog.
Jacob Theobald.
It is Jacob,
of course. Never in doubt. Just
unforgettable.
But yeah, have a word with him. Let him know why you enjoyed it so much. Thanks for the question. Don Garforth asks, if you could travel to any game environment for a holiday, where would you go? I wouldn't say no to a 10-day all-inclusive beach resort in Tropico, for example, provided natural catastrophes were turned off, of course. Yeah,
Banana Republic.
Remember
that when you told me that yesterday?
Political term.
Yeah, Liam taught me a word yesterday. And it was about Tropico.
It was about Tropico.
Sorry.
Or semi-related to Tropico.
Banana Republic simulator, I think is what it says in the description. That's honestly what it is. Yeah, I think that is a great shout, but I would go for... as you only are to pick one destination, the Mass Effect Citadel, which would then give me an access to an unprecedented sci-fi travel
That's like
network.
your only wish being unlimited wishes, you little fucker. Yeah.
It's still a place. Well, even if I was stuck there, right? Mass Effect Citadel.
It's Dom's fault for letting you in there with a loophole.
Yeah.
So you'd go and
he's said provided there's no natural catastrophes. Well, I'm saying provided I also get access to a spaceship.
And how long is this holiday anyway? Because you could spend ages there. Do you know what I mean? You could spend it could be a gap year. Do you know what I mean? You might have a gap year on a Citadel.
Yeah.
I'd pick Costa del Sol from Final Fantasy VII to chill with the babes and Hojo.
It's literally a holiday resort as
well. Final Fantasy's got a few resorts, hasn't it?
Golden Saucer's hotel options are pretty spectacular as well.
Golden Key? Golden
Key from Final Fantasy 15.
That's the stunner.
Lovely looking resort, yeah.
Kind of looks like Bentlech down the road from where I live. That's a little village. Not really.
Liam, I mean, the bar's quite high at this point.
I mean, I'd probably say, like, just because it's fresh in my memory, Final Fantasy 15, you got Lestalem, which is like the beachside city. It's like massive.
Yeah. It's a great looking world, isn't it?
I didn't finish the game.
It's got so much variety to it.
Yeah, it's stunning. I
loved
it. Really it's one of the only, like, I played Horizon Zero Dawn, and there was another quite big open world game that came out beginning of last year. I think it was Wildlands or whatever.
Around the same time, so you had a crowded...
Yeah, but no, it was Horizon. Oh, I saw Breath of the Wild world, had a little go with that, and Ghost Recon Wildlands. And everyone was on about the best open world. I just played like a bit of Final Fantasy 15, about 10 hours of it. Yeah. And honestly, I think that was my favourite. I didn't even see all of it. That's the thing. I can go back, get it for about 12
just
quid.
Driving around with your bros. What's that to like?
It does things very differently as well. So it's not like, the driving and stuff, famously it's not like proper driving or whatever. It's open world by JRPG definition.
It's like a nice bit of downtime though. You get to kick back and relax a little bit.
It's a nice world. If you're going to go on holiday anywhere,
Whatever that place to the PC version. Super Mario Sunshine, whatever that place is called. That's pretty cool.
Dolfino Plaza.
That's it. Yeah. That's the one.
Don't know where that came from.
A lot of paint flying around and stuff, though, isn't there?
Yeah, post cleanup.
Post
flood.
So it's all sorted.
It's very nice and tropical looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are Yoshis and pineapples.
There you go.
Exactly.
There's your answers. Simply Butter. There's some relation to Simply Phil.
Is that Simply Phil fan account?
I don't know. Recently started pledging, anyway, they say. With all the games coming out this year, as it's going to be a good year, what are you guys going to play? As it doesn't seem enough time in the day for everything, especially if you work. How are you going to prioritise? Now, Caleb Husky also asked quite a similar question about prioritising and managing your backlog and like endless games like Total War and stuff. So, what is your like top priority for playing stuff this year, and how do you generally like manage how you play your games, your time spent playing games?
I mean, I don't know. It's I try and keep it equally split. So like we've been playing Vermintide. I usually try and keep like an hour or two a night free in case you guys want to get on Vermintide.
What a guy.
What a lovely man this guy is.
In my like, if I just want to sort of like kick back and relax, I've been playing Final Fantasy 15 on PC because it's just such an easygoing game.
Yep.
But then if I have like a long stretch of free time, I've been playing Yakuza 0 just because it's been in my backlog for a year. And I want to get Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami finished before Yakuza 6 comes out in April.
So you cannot play that for 12 months?
No, yeah, well, it's just...
Let it mature.
There's a lot of Japanese criminal underworld sagas that need playing in my house.
Not a lot of Japanese criminals to get battered.
It's just, I wish they weren't so long games. Like... 5 hours it took me to do one chapter in Yakuza 0.
That was a defeated 5 hours. 5 hours, man.
The thing with that is, I could have done it in like an hour. I spent the other 4 just messing around in the open world.
So
doing karaoke and all the mini games. There was a side quest where some girl wanted to win a claw grabbing machine toy, but she couldn't do it, so I went and did it.
Like the hero that you are.
So much nonsense.
I'll win that toy for you.
There's so much nonsense in those games, but it's so wildly entertaining at the same time.
That's the whole point, though, right? They're just mess around.
Sandboxy stuff. I'm looking forward to the 6th one. I'm going to pick it up. I think it'll be the first Yakuza game I play.
Right, same. Yeah, it always like looks like I would definitely enjoy this.
It's an odd place to start because it's the final Yakuza game in the character's storyline.
It's just a Witcher 3 technique, innit?
Yeah, I guess.
Classic dip on it.
Just watch the videos. Just watch the videos on YouTube.
I've watched a lot of Holly Bennett live streams, so I think I know all I need to know, right?
Honestly, you probably do.
Throw a baby, bit of claw grabbing, bit of karaoke.
Yeah.
That's about it, isn't it?
Awesome.
Pork buns or something like that? Or is that a different game?
That's Sleeping Dogs.
Oh, fucking hell.
That's another game.
That
Let myself down at the last minute.
Yeah.
How do I prioritise time? Yes. Secret is takeaway food, right? I'm the head chef in my house. I cook all the meals every single day, normally from fresh ingredients, and it takes prep. Cooking is delicious, and it is great for everybody involved. The only downside to that is it normally takes up about 2 hours of my day. So the secret of a pure prioritised thing, is get a takeaway in, isn't it? You know what I mean?
You plan ahead, right? We all, especially when there's co-op games and whatever, and playing a bit of Destiny or Vermintide or something, we'll always like... Well, we'll pretty much say at work, like, we're going to be jumping on this. Are we jumping on this later, guys? And we'll try and like make space for it and stuff. Yeah. And maybe it's a couple of hours or something.
Yeah, it's all about planning ahead, really.
Yeah. And when it comes to co-op games and stuff. And then, I'll usually try and knock, like, if I've got a single player game versus a kind of Caleb was asking about like endless games like Total War is the example he gives. I play shitloads of Total War and that dominates my time, my gaming time. I can't help it. But usually I'll try and, if I know a game takes 10 to 12 hours to beat, I'll always do that first. And so I've got that done. I can tick that box. I can talk about it confidently in work. I can in videos and whatever. I know what I'm talking about, and I've had that experience. Whereas Total War, it just never ends, man. By the time I feel done with it, there's another one. There's one out next month.
That's what
I'm not done with this one.
You give me this tip because God of War comes out on the Friday and Thrones of Britannia comes out on the Thursday. And I was saying I don't know how I'm going to do it, and you have to say just don't get sucked into Thrones of Britannia.
It's such a time sink.
Yeah. Because it's just a great, it's like an everlasting game, isn't it? It's
And then you throw in things like for a while it would have been Destiny, right? But then now it's possibly Vermintide because that looks like a decent one. So there's like that kind of multiplayer thing as well. So it's all about balance and stuff. I think there are many people who'll just hammer just play Overwatch all the time or something. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be like that. I love Destiny so much. I've got so many complaints about it, but I love it loads, right?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on it co-op.
Yeah, definitely. But I could never just play that, you know. I could never just stick to that. And
it's like an MMO sort of style thing, then, isn't it? You know, you've got your main game. My sister and brother are like that. Final Fantasy 14 and Overwatch, and that's it. And they play more games than me, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, they game for longer than me.
Yeah.
But they play about 2 games a year, when I play like 2 a week sometimes.
But then they're racking up hundreds of hours of the games that they do.
Exactly. So I think for me, it is a genuine first world problem at the moment where Ni no Kuni's out soon, and God of War, and Thrones of Britannia.
Far Cry 5 for me.
Far Cry 5 I've decided to bench for now, and
that's like my number one. Well, apart from Total War, because obviously.
Exactly. It's just too much.
It's too much. I want to play them all. I just want to play them all. I can't handle it.
So how do we manage our time? We don't really. That's the thing.
Take away food and planning.
If you got any tips, guys, let us know how you manage your time. Just tell us in the comments, please. God, tell us how you.
I love that you prioritize 2 comments by making them into 1 comment.
There's a lot of questions. I was saying this at the top of the podcast. There's loads of questions, right? And I've just got to, I got to choose the good ones. Kind of do first come first serve a little bit and try and get everyone's questions in. But they're great questions. So Andre Rowell asks, I'm sitting here rewatching your guys' video while my car is stuck in a snowdrift because my city didn't plough when I had to get to work. I just want you guys to know I love you and I'm glad you exist.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for being a part of my life over the past year. What a guy. Thanks, thank you, Andre, for that comment.
Andre forever.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I hope you got out the snowdrift, man. Do you guys have any...
Hope you're still alive, Andre. If you didn't, you'd really be a big part of this podcast. So it's a win-win for you.
Yeah,
unless you're dead. But you're not, Andre. So anyway,
you might be surviving off the stuff in Art's car seat.
Day 56. I got a shout out from Pretty Good Gaming. I don't know how long I got left. Andre,
really happened.
Andre, let us know where you are. If you are stuck, let us know where you are, and we'll send out for help. And we'll
Mm-hmm. Right, so here's the question. Do you guys have any intention of starting a website, like a hub for gaming news, information and humour, allowing for user-submitted content like art, videos, etc., and community building? I don't know, that's a nice idea. I like the hub idea. I guess maybe our default thing would be just a relaying video site or something like that, which was kind of half-baked when we were very early on in the channel. We kind of had this kind of idea of kind of writing stuff and also putting the YouTube videos on there. But at this point, we're putting out 2 videos a day. We're changing the variety of those videos. It's not just the news all the time. Like we're doing like daft stuff, which takes a bit of effort. The podcast, we're doing live streams, we're doing different things now. So I don't know. Maybe
Gaz's the boss, and he makes the decisions when it comes to this sort of stuff, because it's like, he just says, let's make a website. Let's not. So I don't know. I could just chat shit about making a website all day, and Gaz would be like, nah. Mate.
Well, as an idea, I think that it would be pretty cool. I like the community focused thing, but it's the kind of thing that maybe you could turn your Patreon into, or something where you just kind of.
I personally think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I really like the idea of user submitted like writing and art and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. And general community building is great. I think that's kind of what the whole podcast has become. I feel like is a good kind of community building thing, because we really like answering your questions. Sometimes we just read your questions, or at least before we would start doing this, and we would just like chat about things that you'd asked. So and I guess that's where the podcast has kind of evolved into, where we're trying to show you what we think of the questions that you're asking us specifically. So I mean, we're totally interested in community building of any kind, really. Hence, like the live stream and stuff. And there's, we're trying to make that as question and answer as possible and stuff. And if I remember, yesterday you guys did a bit of a Q&A at the end, is that right?
Yeah.
Where the game had finished, but you were just answering questions. We didn't have enough time
to start a new one, so we fielded some questions.
So we're totally...
and there's always one person hosting it to answer questions full time.
That's right, so there's more than one person doing the stream, right? But as for a website, I think there's a lot of work is something that we need for sure, but you want to do a good job of it, so we'd have to make sure that we focus a lot of time on it before it would go out and everything. But it's definitely a great idea, man. We'll probably at least chat about it. So next up, Stephen, definitely not Cheese Poo Hughes.
That was honestly such a big revelation.
That was a huge reveal. Mm-hmm. So Cheese Poo is one of the top commenters on the YouTube channel, always there or thereabouts with some great comments. Turns out he's Stephen Hughes. I
felt like Hank finding out Heisenberg was Walter White.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God. I was in this room and I ran. I ran to Mike to tell him.
You did, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was like, was that Apollo 13, whatever?
Yeah.
The Russians have got a space program. So Stephen, definitely not Cheese Poo Hughes asks, have any of you ever owned or still own any weird gaming peripherals like Rob the Robot?
Rob the Robot?
Do you remember Rob the Robot from Smash on Wii? Smash Bros. Brawl? Well, he was like a little add-on for the NES that you got with like the first run NESs. He did fuck all, but he was just cool.
So
he's just a little robot.
What? Did you plug him in, or did you just
He literally plugged him into one of the control ports, I think, and he'd literally move about like in Duck Hunt. He'd just point at the duck and shit like that.
What?
He was cool.
Man.
My dad had one.
That sounds really cool. But
Liam, you're the MVP here, like just fucking rob the robot knowledge coming out of the ears. It was good.
I only know about it because my dad had one when the NES first came out.
Right.
So that's the only reason I know about it.
I don't have any. I'm not a peripheral kind of guy. I'm really not. I don't think I've ever owned. I really reluctantly got the wheels for Mario Kart on the Wii.
Yeah.
And it did add.
Did you never have like a Rock Band stuff and all that?
Yeah. Well, but then at that point, that's a controller. That's an essential. That's like you need it to play the game. I think I got Guitar Hero 3 out of all of them. I think I picked that one up.
I think I had the fishing rod for the Dreamcast.
That is pretty weird.
My Dreamcast came with Sega Bass Fishing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was like a little motion control rod.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but...
I guess the most interesting one I've actually owned, I can honestly say, that isn't like a straightforward, really good, mouse, keyboard, or controller, is a Steam controller. Because when you think about what it is, it's flipping weird. It's two vibrating haptic feedback laptop touchpads on a controller. It's a weird machine. It's a weird, to play it, and I was like, it was quite interesting. And I was like, I wasn't just playing the games. I was like experimenting with this thing. It's really like customizable. That's the whole point. You got to spend ages tailoring it per game. So obviously I was like Skyrim, because that's a very vanilla kind of platform to mess around with first person stuff and using menus and whatever. So that's probably mine, which is quite boring.
I can't think of a useless one. I can think of a really good one that I had. Cast your mind back to 2003. The GameCube has been out for a year. No, I got this thing, and you basically put it under your GameCube, and
thanks for changing gears.
Is it the Game Boy player?
Yeah, you could just play Game Boy Advance and that games on there. It's fucking well aced,
handy,
mate.
yeah.
I played this game, and it was like a Mario RPG, but it wasn't Mario RPG. It was Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And I played that in my head. That's a GameCube game, but obviously it's a Game Boy Advance game. It really brought it to life, because obviously it was backlit, and because the Game Boy Advance wasn't backlit before the SP, right? So it was fully until you could play it on a GameCube controller, but you could also plug your GBA in, and you could play it on the Nintendo controller. You could even use the Game Boy Advance screen as like an alternate screen sort of thing for like menu items and stuff. And I got it for about £15, which even back then wasn't that much. And we had loads, between me and my sister, we had loads of Game Boy games knocking about, and it was proper good. Proper good. Like, I guess sort of not backwards compatibility, because these games were out at the same time. Yeah. But it's just like fucking wicked.
That's pretty useful though. That's a good thing.
So think about that. Like, rather than buying a Game Boy Advance, you could just spend 15 quid to be a GameCube, and you could play all your games on there. And I mean, come on,
that's a good little.
I never owned them, but there was the Donkey Kong bongos for the GameCube.
For Dark Souls, right?
I mean, you can use them for Dark Souls. And then there was what else? On the Dreamcast, there was maracas for Samba de Amigo.
There was. I remember vividly being in a game shop watching some guy do it in front of the counter, and the staff member behind the counter just like watching the screen. Like it's like this. What? This is not happening, right? There's not a customer just doing like maracas and like and the sales assistant going, "Oh, there's some great maracaing. Yeah, that's really good. You know what? You suit those maracas actually."
The Dreamcast had so many weird things on it.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the microphone for that Fishman game?
No.
Oh yeah, for Dark Souls, right?
I mean, probably could have been.
Right. Timberwolf asks, "What co-worker makes you laugh the most?" I don't know. It's a tough question to answer that, because I think we all make each other laugh a lot. But I think Emmi, you may know, she's kind of popped up in a few of the videos. In Ghost Fishing, she was like working the camera and stuff. She's if you're a Patreon as well, you'll know who made the office tour video with Jake, right?
Yeah.
She says some funny things, man. She said she has this great ability to just take one word, take another word,
portmanteau,
get a new word out of it, right?
The word's myth. The word
splicer, yeah, which sounds pretty like a Bioshock enemy or something. But she's really as far as like standout laughs, I think Emmy's pretty funny. But yeah, generally, I think we all make each other laugh a lot. I'd say. I don't know if you guys.
No, it's same answer, really.
Yeah, Emmi is the funniest. She is the funniest.
Yeah. Notice how we're all having a laugh and a good time here. And lastly, this podcast,
We're all
Oliver Townsend
secretly
asks,
dead offended that
Is
everyone
it-
else has not said each other. Do you know what I mean?
what?
Right? Mike's dead offended that I've not said him, and
I'm not offended at anything.
Yeah,
mate.
you are. Next question. I just wanted to do the MC grind thing, guys.
Black Ops, right. Oliver Townsend with the last question of the podcast. Is it strange to wrap your food in cling film? My colleagues think it is weird that I wrap my apple in cling film. Love the knitwear, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I'm not wearing any. Thanks anyway, that's really nice. Cling film, apple.
Thanks a lot for listening to this week's Pretty Good
Don't
Gaming
you
Podcast.
dare!
My name's
Don't
Mike
you dare!
Williams. You've
Cling
been
film's
joined
really
by
useful.
Liam McKelvey and Jake Kulkowski. Remember, Bioshock is not Bioshock. Fucking fucked up my own joke then. Bloodborne is a great game.
Cling film is good too.
What a mess.
I mean, it's
This
no
is a long
tinfoil,
podcast.
is
It's
it?
still rolling. I haven't said goodbye
That's
yet.
well funny.
Yeah.
That is well funny. Cling film is good though as well, isn't it?
For
See you next
sandwiches,
time.
yeah.
Sandwiches, yeah.